Long Road to Friendship, Chapter 3, Part 2. She finished her apple and tossed the core into a nearby yard.
It'll decompose eventually,
she thought. There was only one other man upon Sunset's arrival at the bus stop. He had a nice suit on and was holding a briefcase in one hand. Sunset snickered to herself, feeling sorry for the saps that had to work on a Sunday.
"Oh, excuse me, miss,"
the man addressed Sunset as she drew near.
"Could you tell me the time?"
Sunset wanted to tell him to invest in a watch instead, but found her hand reaching into her pocket to grab her phone.
"It's 12:23,
she said, trying to keep the snark out of her voice.
"And do you know how often the bus comes through here?" "About every 15 minutes.
The man smiled.
"Thanks, you've been a big help."
Sunset grunted and turned away. It had only been 2 days and she was already thoroughly annoyed by her curse.
"Oh, come on, he just wanted to know the time,"
a small voice said. Sunset rolled her eyes in response.
"It's a beautiful day out, isn't it?"
the man continued. Sunset looked up at the clear blue sky. A calm wind tousled her hair.
"Yeah, it is,"
she said softly. She couldn't have been more relieved when the bus arrived a minute later. She paid her fare and picked a seat near the back, getting as far away from the man and the rest of the scattered passengers on board as possible. Lucky for her, the bus ride passed without incident. 30 minutes later, she was on Candlelot's nicer side, disembarking in front of the Candlelot Mall. It was a large monstrosity of a thing, with its front being made mostly of polished glass, giving it the nickname the Crystal Mall. Though it was only 2 stories high, it could fill the space of 2 football stadiums. She crossed through the large sliding doors and pulled out her list of things to buy, seeing leather jacket at the top. Having been here several times prior, Sunset knew exactly where to buy one. She stepped across the glittering tiled floors, heading for the closest escalator. Despite the flaws of this world, Sunset had been greatly impressed by the technology here. She had been blown away by the concept of moving stairs upon seeing them the first time. Why didn't Equestria have something like that? Or leather jackets? Groups of teens and families moved about the mall, enjoying their weekend outing and filling the place with echoes of talk and laughter. To Sunset, it was almost infectious. Almost. She found the store that she had been looking for after a few minutes of walking and stepped inside, a wide grin on her face.
"Afternoon?"
the store clerk said with a cheery disposition, until she saw who it was that walked through the door. Her face instantly fell.
"Oh, it's you, Sunset."
Sunset paused and looked at the pale blue girl across the counter. A bright pink bow set in her aqua-colored hair. It took a moment, but Sunset finally recalled the girl's name.
"Good afternoon, Flutter,"
she said coolly, approaching the counter with a smirk.
"I didn't know that you worked here." "Well, yes, well, unlike some people, I have to work for the things that I want." "Oh, boo-hoo, life is just so hard and unfair."
Sunset couldn't resist taunting her. Old habits seemed to die hard.
"For your information, I have worked for the things that I wanted."
Flitter narrowed her eyes.
"No, you haven't. You lied, cheated, and blackmailed." "And that isn't work?"
Flitter grumbled a few unkind words to herself, before readdressing Sunset with as much contempt as she could muster.
"What do you want?" "A leather jacket."
Sunset wasn't sure whether she said it or if it was the elements making her. Flitter pointed to the back corner, where a small rack of black and brown jackets sat.
"Please, let me know if there's anything I can do to help you,"
she said, her voice heavy with sarcasm. Sunset smiled and made her way over to the rack. She picked out a large brown one and pretended to examine it closely.
No.
She dropped it to the floor and moved down the row, picking out another one.
No,
she said, tossing it on top of the previous one. From the corner of her eye, she saw Flitter grind her teeth together. Sunset continued her mischief until she pulled out a jacket that she actually liked. It looked exactly like the old one that she was wearing, only it had a longer trim and silver-pointed spikes along the cuffs.
"Ooh, yes. You'll make a great replacement."
She took the jacket over and laid it on the counter in front of Flitter, who let out a long sigh.
"Will that be all, ma'am?" "Yes."
Flitter clicked a few buttons on the cash register, before taking the scanner and scanning the tag on the jacket. Her face brightened up when she spoke, her original cheeriness returning.
"That'll be $322, please."
Sunset nearly choked.
What? You've got to be kidding me. It didn't cost that much last time." "Well,"
Flitter explained with a large smile.
"leather happens to be very in season right now, and this particular jacket is imported."
She leaned in towards Sunset and added in an overjoyed whisper.
"From France."
It was Sunset's turn to grit her teeth.
"I don't have $300.
Flitter shrugged, taking the jacket and moving towards the mess Sunset had made.
"Too bad. No money, no jacket. Maybe you should come join us commoners in the working world and, oh, I don't know, actually work for it?"
Sunset opened her mouth, but Flitter beat her to it.
"Oh, and if you threaten me, I will call security."
With a stomp and a clench of her fists, Sunset marched out of the store, swearing profusely.
Stupid flitter, $300. Just a jacket, a really nice jacket. Where the hell am I supposed to get $300 extra to pay for that?
Keeping her head down and muttering darkly to herself, Sunset didn't see where she was going, and smacked straight into another person, sending them to the floor. Sunset glared down at them.
Why don't you watch where you're going? Oh, Twilight Sparkle.
Twilight got up and dusted herself, giving Sunset a curious stare.
Sunset Shimmer? What are you doing here, and why did you bump into me?
Instead of a scathing retort, Sunset said,
I was here trying to buy a new jacket along with a few other things, but I found out that the jacket I wanted was too expensive, and I got mad, and I wasn't looking where I was going.
She facepalmed.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm sorry about the jacket.
Twilight said sincerely.
Maybe you can ask for it for Christmas? I don't have anyone to ask for anything for Christmas.
Sunset crossed her arms and looked away.
You don't? No, I don't, and I like it that way.
Sunset snapped her head back at Twilight and held up a hand.
Wait a minute. Do you not remember what I told you 2 nights ago?
Twilight rubbed a hand against the back of her neck, her expression caught between guilty and sad.
To not talk to you? Yes. And what are you doing right now? Well, technically you bumped into me and initiated the conversation.
She fell silent at the look on Sunset's face. Sunset was enjoying this dominion over Twilight. She only wished it had been this easy to put down the other one.
I'll say it again. Leave me alone.
She turned on her heel and started to storm off.
Can I at least say thank you?
Sunset stopped and looked over her shoulder.
For what?
Twilight clasped her hands behind her back and nervously kicked at the floor, a move that reminded Sunset of Fluttershy.
For saving my life. I never got a chance to say thanks. Yeah, well...
Sunset found that she couldn't think of a good comeback and instead just said,
You're welcome.
She turned to walk away again, but Twilight's voice stopped her.
What were you talking about Friday night? About the mayor to Equestria, was it? And something about another me? It's none of your business!
Sunset snapped.
Technically that's true. None of that is any of her business.
Twilight put her hands on her hips and scowled.
Why isn't it? You said that there was another Twilight Sparkle.
Sunset found herself forced to turn around and answer.
Yes, there's another Twilight Sparkle, but you'll never meet her, so it doesn't matter.
With a frustrated growl, Sunset broke into a run, pushing past other mall-goers in an attempt to flee.
Wait, come back here! You owe me an explanation! I owe you nothing!
Ignoring the stares of everyone she passed by, Sunset continued running, until she was sure Twilight hadn't followed her. She stopped, catching her breath at a water fountain and taking a long drink, wiping her mouth on her sleeve afterward.
Wait.
Sunset looked back at the way that she had run.
Twilight had asked me for an explanation, but I wasn't forced to give her one.
Sunset leaned against the wall, pressing a palm against her head.
Well, no, she demanded one. Guess that isn't the same thing as asking.
She grit her teeth and pounded a fist against the wall.
Stupid girl, stupid curse. Is this how I'm gonna spend the rest of my life? Running away from questions?
No. It was just Twilight Sparkle that she had to avoid. She was the only problem. She was always the problem. I'm actually surprised that she was able to cause a ruckus like that. Maybe it's just a learning process. Anywho, let's get on to our very friendly donators. Top donators are 630, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and Only One Thing. TacoCat598, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rollins, CrazyKiller557, Stu Hex, Will, Omicron Lyrae, Chris, Twinkie, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hadge, RuneScythe9852, Madman Stan, Leslie Prickett, Drake Lovedragon, Hansa Norman, Stephen Bingham, LineGod12, Sorcerer Constantine, Hudzaza, Conver, and many more super duper awesome people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.